Welcome back to the Buff Show, heading into the final turn. The final turn around NASCAR. Everybody's chanting, "Let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon!" The final segment on the Buff Show, and this is always a good one. And we got to talk about Florida politics a little bit here because we've had some breaking news about the Florida electoral map. So we're going to get into that with congressional candidate Scotty Moore running for the Florida House District 9.
That's
Great
right.
to have you back on the show, Scotty.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I appreciate your conservative voice. You're the tip of the spear. We need you to continue to speak out. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Well, we're doing the best we can, and we have to do our part here on the radio show by promoting good candidates like you. And Scotty, I want to tell you, when we endorse a candidate on the Buff Show, I personally endorsed you because of your beliefs, the way you attack the issues head on. All right. So I support you fully on the Buff Show, and we're glad to have you as a candidate. And we will get you over that finish line on the Buff Show. We will do everything we can to get you that victory.
Thank you, sir. And that means a lot for me. Again, your voice and your conservative push, is the tip of the spear. And so having your endorsement means a lot. And I think it speaks a lot to the audience, the conservatives, that say, listen, this guy is speaking the language that we need, full of courage and backbone, not like Mitch McConnell and others who are weak and kind of flip-flopping around there.
No, not at all. And we'll get into those clowns in a minute here, just like the 13 Republicans who
That's
helped
right.
Biden's agenda move forward. Unbelievable. You have to stand the line with all that spending. And
That's
that's
right.
one thing we'll ask you when you get to Congress. You got to hold fast. It's easy to spend money because what these Congress people do, what they do is they put their name on the bill, right? And then they go back to their hometown and say, hey, look, we got this bridge here. Because of that bill, I was working for you guys. It's easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah. And what people don't realize, or they're not really willing to consider, is they're sacrificing the future of our kids and our future grandkids. And it's our responsibility to hold the line, like you said. And listen, we've got to get our spending under control before it destroys our country. China's coming after us. We already had a debacle in Afghanistan. Men and women lost their life because of what Joe Biden did. We gave away billions of dollars in proprietary technology. We have got to spend wisely in this idea of leaders who care more about their jobs and keeping their jobs. And look at what happened in some of these leaders. They say all the nice, pretty things, they get reelected, and then they totally betray their electorate, the people that elected them. And not only that, but they're betraying the kids, the future of our nation. We cannot afford to do this any longer.
No, we can't afford to do it any longer. Now, here in Florida, we have good news. The electoral map came out that showed for the first time in its history, there's actually more Republicans here in Florida than Democrats. What happened was all those blue states, people that got out and escaped the blue states, they came down here and registered Republican.
Yeah.
We called that on the Buff Show that they would do that. We're glad they did. Otherwise, we were going to push legislation to revoke their voting rights for 5 years. But what that does is all that means is we should fight even harder. We should push even further because the way the Democrats are moving to socialism, we need a good, strong base of Republican voters. And why do you say, why can't I be an NPA? Why can't I be an independent? Well, because we have primaries in Florida and we need
Right.
your Republican vote to vote in that primary, or you can't participate.
That's right.
So you need to register Republican. You need to fight for the values you moved here for, the freedom you moved here for. But Scotty Moore, we can't let off the gas at all. We need to convert more and more every single day.
You're absolutely right. And not only that, but what's fascinating is there are so many Democrats who are stopping and twisting and switching to the Republican Party because they're saying the Democrat Party doesn't align more with what I believe and where I'm going. They're anti-American, and I'm aligned more with the conservative movement. And so the independents are doing the same. And the Republicans, this is why I call myself a Trump Republican, because I identify with where President Trump led America first. Some of these rhinos, some of these people who are weak Republicans who care more about spending and wars, that is not who the conservative movement's all about. And so you're absolutely right. Okay, so we passed, we got to continue on the gas. We got to keep pushing, because think about it. If Governor DeSantis had lost the election in Florida 4 years ago, where would we be? We would be just like California and New York. And so leadership matters, voting matters, getting conservative values and leaders matter with a backbone. And we need everyone to continue double down. And so the people who are moving here, they're moving here because they want to be a part of the free state of Florida. They don't want the tyrannical governors who are mandating things. They're coming here. So you got to come here. You got to register to vote, be conservative, and vote your values right here. That's what we need.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the Democrats either. Like you said, it's about the rhinos too. We got a problem. Like two of those Republicans that voted for that massive spending infrastructure bill, they're retiring. They're done. So they're going out with a Biden legacy around their neck, and they're fine with that.
Yeah.
What we have to do is replace those guys and rebrand. Like you said, you're a Trump Republican. We got to rebrand the Republican Party into a conservative, strong, constitutional party. And it takes a lot of work, but with more registered voters supporting us, you can do that, Scotty. You and your fellows that are winning these elections.
You know, and President Trump does not get enough from outside other people credit for all that he did with the Abraham Accords, with moving the embassy to Jerusalem. 5 other previous presidents said they would do that. They didn't. Everyone is saying that there was going to be wars. That didn't happen. He leads with strength. He went after and killed Soleimani. So we had peace through strength. North Korea didn't mess with us because they knew that. And so we had a booming economy. We were energy independent for the first time. And on top of that, he did all of this with tremendous opposition, actually even opposition from within his own party, from within his own administration. You know, his own attorney general didn't even stand up and fight for him. He had these crazy 2 different impeachments within 365 days, which is unheard of. We've only had 4 in our history. It's with tremendous opposition, yet he did so much. And so that's the type of thing. America first, secure our borders, energy independent, really support Americans and really even immigrants who are coming here illegally. But we need to stop illegal immigration. You know, this whole idea of paying $450,000, it's honestly, we have lost our minds. And if we do not call it out and stand up, there's just too much information for us to talk about from Afghanistan and all the different things we're talking about. We need to continue on the gas and holding them accountable. This is one big hot mess right now.
The Biden administration, what they do is they jump from crisis to crisis and throw in a press conference about vaccines in between. Afghanistan, we still have Americans left over there. We gave the terrorists of the world the biggest, most expensive, most awesome weapons they could ever ask for. Yeah. We gave that to them. We have destroyed the future of not just America potentially with this move, but also the rest of the world with the plans that they're making right now with ISIS and the Taliban. We did that. And so what do they do after that debacle? They give a press conference on vaccine mandates.
They change the narrative, right? They change the narrative. They change the story.
Change the narrative.
Yep.
And they want people, they're happy when people succumb to a virus because they can say, see, look at that. This is why we got to remain in control to get this done. But they've even handled the COVID thing as a disaster. By only talking about vaccines, you're killing people that could have had other treatments. So, I mean, everything they do is a crisis, and then they slip in a press conference about getting vaccinated in the meantime to try to change that narrative. Yeah. But we're on to them, Scotty. We're on to them.
Yeah, and listen, it's total gaslighting because they're the ones that are destroying it, and then they turn around and say, look at what you guys did. It has none of the above. They are leading poorly. I believe many politicians have blood on their hand because we did not go after the early treatment. We had early treatments. They locked it down. It became a political thing and not a medical thing. You're absolutely right. We're on them. But what we need are the conservative voices to rise up because I still believe we're the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? I say that often, but I really mean it. But our freedoms are under attack. And what's shocking is from within our own country, from within other Americans who are coming after us. And if we don't have brave men and women like you, like everyday citizens, like the teachers and the business owners and the lawyers and the neighbors right now, and the small business owners, right? If we don't have people rise up and speak out against this and slam their hand on the table and say, no, it's not going to happen. Not in my America. We risk losing. This is how Venezuela went down. Like, I don't think people understand that we are on the precipice of something very dangerous if we do not have people rise up.
And Venezuela was a stolen election too. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Like, one thing we really have to stop on, let's get specific on some legislation. The White House tells businesses to ignore the court order, proceed with the vaccine mandate. The court order is just that. It's a court order. Right. The only thing you can do is fight it in court. And they were supposed to turn in and I'm sure they did. I didn't read the garbage, but turn in a summary statement, basically, why the mandate's in place. But they can't do it because it's illegal. what the Democrats do is they put something out there as an executive order and they know it might not pass legal muster. They want it at least out there for 3 months so they can get as many people to do what they want as possible.
They're using fear. They're using fear, and people are falling right in the trap of the fear, and they're not rising up against it, right? And it's unconstitutional, by the way. And by the way, it's all based on a bunch of misnomers and lies. You look at the efficacy. Sure, it was 95% when it first started. Now the vaccines are below 50%. That's why they're offering the booster. And so why on earth are we actually firing people because of something that doesn't even work? And by the way, it doesn't even fully protect you. It's just bad science. It's not a narrative. The government has no business in getting in there. And by the way, the government, this is exactly what Venezuela does. Because if we're not going to obey and listen to the rule of law from the court system, then what's it matter? They're just kind of deciding. That's dictator kind of talk and actions right there.
Yeah, that's all it is. Now there's new congressional maps going out there, and this fear, that's the only thing they have. If they don't have any good numbers, Biden and Harris, their numbers are in the toilet, and it's actually probably lower than what they're showing you on the mainstream because those polls lean Democrat.
Yeah.
As far as respondents. But one thing we have is a chance like we saw in Virginia. I bet you got excited after Virginia, New Jersey,
Are you kidding?
Texas, Seattle, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
You saw a movement forming there, Scotty. I bet you got pretty excited about that. And Democrats are really worried about the new maps drawn for congressional races.
Matt, you were on the front end. You were on the pulse of really what's happening. We were too. We already knew. We felt it. We experienced it. And now we actually have real raw data to show. Okay. So we have moved from the theoretical into the very practical, and we have numbers. Okay. There is a red wave that is beyond just a wave. It's a tsunami. It's massive.
That's right.
The amount of frustration and anger from every level, from conservatives, from independents, even from moderate Democrats, right, who are rising up. Now you got the crazies like AOC, and she's saying, "Hey, we're too moderate. We need to double down." Like, okay, continue on your crazy message, but the RNC has said, they've doubled down and they said, "Listen, there are 13 more seats that the incumbent is very vulnerable." In the seat that I'm running in, Democrat Darren Soto, he's on the chopping block. They recognize that he is weak. He doesn't do much. He stays under the radar. He's a yes man for Nancy Pelosi. And they say, we're coming from him. You know why? Because the people in my district care about conservative values. They care about schools. They care about their kids. They care about not having the government speak into that. They care about having freedom and not having vaccine mandates. And they care about keeping their job and not having the government come in and tell them what to do. Right? These are things that Darren Soto supports and he pushes through, and we need to rise up. The conservative movement is here, but without people taking the action and moving and speaking out, convincing their neighbors and actually showing up to vote, we still have to finish strong. So 2022, November 8th, almost a year. Yesterday would be a full year, right? Yeah. That wave is coming. We need to keep pushing strong.
Absolutely. We're running out of time real quick. Scotty, give your website.
Hey, ScottyMoreForCongress.com, Scotty with a Y. You can see it back here. You can go, you can give, you can donate. Listen, we have been thrust into the national spotlight. We need fuel for the campaign. Fuel is donations. It's like having an amazing vehicle, but if you don't have any fuel in it, it doesn't leave the garage. So even $20, $50, you can give the maximum. We need all the help we can. Get the conservative voices online. Get us, I need your help, your support, ScottyMoreForCongress.com. I'm also on Facebook, Scotty Moore for Congress. Check me out. We got a ton of content on there.
Okay, excellent. Scotty Moore, thank you so much for coming on the Buff Show. We got a big fight ahead, and we got less than a year to get it done. All right, that's all the time we have for tonight on the Buff Show. You guys stay smart out there. We'll see you Thursday.